Welcome back to the Boys and Ball podcast. If you like the pod, hit the like button, subscribe. Let's go.
Because I will go to bed right now.
No, Bruce, you're right. Listen, you fell asleep last time. You cannot fall asleep again. We're going to call you out in front of the whole pod. All right. Tighten it up. All right. Andrew, get a better setup. All right. Let's go.
So
JT,
bad.
JT is on a roast for everyone's throat tonight.
No one is safe. All right, Tootie, you wanted to talk about the All-Star stubs. Fine. Throw them in. Who's your snubs?
Snub. Okay. Snub number one, is De'Aaron Fox. How the hell did he not get in an All-Star game? And, everybody, now the big thing is, which it should have always been this way, but it's like, you see on the media, well, if you're going to take somebody off and say that this person should be in, like, you need to list the player that shouldn't be in the All-Star game. Why the hell is Paul George in the All-Star game when he's played, 29 games this year?
It's a popularity contest. It's
yeah,
all fan voting.
I get it. I get that certain players like Paul George and DeMar DeRozan, Dame. I mean, Dame's been balling, but it's like they have
and
to get
Paul
their
George
flowers.
has played 39 games.
He's played 39.
Yeah, get your facts straight. 39, not 28.
And he's
39,
averaging.
Yeah, how many games has Fox played?
I don't. Give me a second. But Paul George is averaging 23, 6, and 5 on the year. And De'Aaron Fox is averaging has played 47 games, so 8 more games, but he's averaging 24 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists.
JT, quick question. How does 47 minus 37 equal 8?
Because Paul George played 39.
It says 37 right here, bitch.
I just said 39.
Well, it says 37, so you're wrong. But
okay.
Right,
Am I wrong? No, I'm gonna die on this hill. All right. He has played and started in 39 games.
Well, as of February 3rd, he only played in 37. So
all I can say is it says right here 39 games played, 39 games started.
But regardless, I mean, it sounded like to me that De'Aaron Fox had better stats.
I mean, he's averaging 1 more point a game, 2 less rebounds, but one more assist.
Yeah, and in terms of just team success and playing, I know it's not that many. It's 8 games, 10 games, whatever it is, but that's still a factor to an extent because you got to think who are they playing within those 8 games. So
yeah. Now the Clippers do have more wins.
So
the Clippers do have more wins. Mm-hmm. But I mean, they're down in the standings because they do have 3 more losses. But I mean, team success wise, they're right around the same record. I think De'Aaron Fox is again in that same situation where Dame was a couple years ago, where he's having really good years, but there's just too many fan favorites that are going to make it over him. And it's my problem with all the All-Star games. It's fan voting or the players in the league voting, and the players like. Now, LeBron and KD are, they do what they do, but they're guaranteed in the All-Star game they're going to have an egregious amount of votes. And it doesn't matter if they have a down year and LeBron averages 20 points a game. He's going to be an All-Star.
I mean, I agree. He's not having a down year. So a lot of a lot of the good guys aren't having a down year. Again, Paul George is not having a down year. I just think some other guys deserve more credit. But what's interesting is that I feel like all these all-star picks, they pick the 12 players. It's almost like they're banking on guys to get injured right beforehand, or maybe somebody listed as like a minor injury so somebody else can get in. Now, Steph,
who's getting in for Steph?
Steph just got hurt, right? So I personally think it will be De'Aaron Fox. I could definitely see Anthony Davis sliding in. I'm not sure how it necessarily works, though, because I know how when they vote, it's like guards and forwards and center or whatever. But, I don't know if the alternate spot, it doesn't matter. If it doesn't matter, I can see everybody pushing for AD, even though I don't think he deserves it. I think Fox or Anthony Edwards, but you just never know.
I have a question. Is Kyrie going to take would Kyrie take Steph Curry's spot since technically he's now flipped conferences?
No, he's still technically going to be on the Eastern side.
Yeah. Okay, I didn't know how that worked. I was just asking. I know.
No, it doesn't flip mid-year like that because he played most of the year on the East, and it's just about to hit the All-Star game. They're not going to if it was East versus West, I think he still would play on the Eastern side because he was voted in as an Eastern All-Star.
Okay. Okay.
But I mean, now with the teams being picked anyways, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Sure. It's just all like, the 12 guys per side, so 24 total.
Makes
and
sense.
the 2 starters.
Now, if he had been traded 2 months ago, he would have been voted in on the Western side, but because it happened after the voting, he's going to be on the Eastern side.
Yeah. I agree.
Do you have any more snubs, Andrew?
Well, I talked about the Western Conference a little bit. Go to the East. Had a debate with a friend about this. James Harden, obviously, that's a really big snub. When you're averaging like 22, I think he's averaging like 21 a game and 10 assists. I mean, how do you not get in the All-Star game when you're averaging 10 assists in a season, especially with 20 points and your team's 3 in the conference?
He's only played 35 games this year.
Mm-hmm.
But he is averaging 21, 6 rebounds, and 10.9 assists, so almost 11 assists a game. So he's having a good year, but I don't know. I got to look and see what was
the person that he should have made it over is Halliburton, by far, in my opinion, because in this situation, we talk about giving guys flowers. Why didn't James Harden get the same treatment Paul George did? Because Harden's having a better season than Halliburton, and I think their games are very close. I could be wrong, but I feel like the gap between their games is not that much. And quite frankly, the Sixers are 3 in the East, and the Pacers are 11. So I don't understand that.
I mean, I think what plays partly into that is Harden has been hit hard by hate.
Yeah.
As of late, where people have hopped off the Harden bandwagon, and again, it gets back to the popularity contest. People are hating on Harden. He's fallen off. He's not, he's not averaging 35 a game anymore, but he's still playing well.
The bench voting though is like coaches and I think it's really the coaches. I don't think the players don't vote or something, but it's like coaches and like special media members or something, like people that watch it all the time.
There's fan voting too, which plays a big part into that.
Yeah, that's the problem.
The fan voting is for the starters, I'm pretty sure.
No, it's for everyone. That's what you become. Yeah. So it's like a third. Like, I know it's not like, I know like technically like you get like I know LeBron has like 32 million votes or something stupid like that.
Yeah.
But then but in order to be in the list for the All-Star, I know like they count the fan votes and as part of it. I don't know if they hold as much weight, but I'm looking it up right now.
Yeah, because I thought it was going to be more of like you kind of have to. I thought the starters were more like that's the fan voting and the bench is the opposite. But another guy, talking about snubs, just like James Harden, this is a guy who I think, his teammate got in. Makes sense. He's balling. He's a forward, so it helps. But Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson's been one of the most fun guards to watch this year. He's absolutely worth every penny New York paid him. He's one of my favorite point guards in the league. I've kind of watched him since he was in high school. It's just kind of crazy that, 7th in the conference. He's having similar stats, maybe. I think he might be scoring a little bit more than Halliburton, and his team's better than the Pacers, and somehow Halliburton still gets in over him.
Now, Halliburton is averaging 20 and 10 on the year. He's averaging 10 assists. But yeah, Brunson's at 23 and
Halliburton's at 10. He's at 10 assists this year?
Yeah. Okay. 10 assists, 4 rebounds. Where Brunson's at 23, 3 rebounds, and 6 assists.
Yeah,
I like Jalen Brunson in over people like over Drew Holiday and DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah, I agree with the Drew Holiday.
I think definitely they're playing solid years this year, but I think like you said, I think Jalen Brunson's played a little bit better.
I don't know. DeMar's averaging 26, 5 and 5.
I don't. Yeah, I think DeMar should have been in, but
I think big thing about is how well Brunson's shooting from the 3. He's shooting, over 39% from the three line, and he still gets 6 assists and, like you said, 23 points per game. So like he's playing super solid, and
And the Knicks are 29 and 26. I mean, they're 9 games back from first. I know like they're the 7th seed, so they're technically in the play-in right now. But like I think the Knicks right now look better than the Heat. I don't think they're better than Cleveland, but they're definitely better than the teams below them in Atlanta, Chicago, and Washington. So I don't know. It's just Jalen Brunson and Randall have really played well this year, and I thought that they would have. I thought Brunson was going to get in because like New York has that fan base where they're getting that attention, they're getting the media attention as well. So like I was surprised that he didn't get pushed in, and then people were saying that he shouldn't have been in. So
yeah, I mean, I think we could talk about if we're going to talk about like Brunson and Harden, another person to talk about is Darius Garland.
Mm-hmm.
He was averaging 22, 3 and 8 on the year.
Yeah.
So he's kind of right in that the same stat line as those guys.
Garland was an all-star last year, I'm pretty sure.
I mean, shit, even Trae Young, 27. 10 assists per game. Like
Trae Young's getting a lot of backlash this year, though.
That's the thing, like you said, like he's
a lot of people are favoriting defense now, and he couldn't guard a toddler, so
he can't guard anyone, dude.
Yeah, that is true. Trae Young equals no defense. He's the new age James Harden.
Yeah.
Well, James Harden has decided he wants to play a little bit of defense.
Yeah. But those are my snubs, JT.
Okay.
I like him. I think they're very solid.
I think it's a fair conversation, but I don't think any of them were, crazy that it was, so wild of stat lines they were putting up that they should have been in 100%.
Yeah. And, well, another one before we move topics, I know this isn't like a big deal, like if you start in the All-Star game or not, but the one thing that I kind of had an issue with, and I think I talked to you about this before, JT, was Lauri Markkanen not being a starter in the West. And they had Zion over him. I mean, Zion, how many games has Zion even played this year? He's on my fantasy team. He does great when he's in,
averaging better stats.
Check those stats. I don't think they're that far off between each other.
So Zion's averaging 26, 5 assists, 7 rebounds.
Mm-hmm.
And Lauri's averaging 24.9 points, so 25 points, 1 assist, and 8 rebounds.
Yeah. And Lauri's not more of like he's not like a passing big, so understandable. But it's like when Lauri has not missed that many games, and when your city is hosting the All-Star game, another guy. I mean, Zion should immediately be in the All-Star game, but just it's weird to me how they didn't put him as a starter. It didn't make much sense to me, but that kind of goes to what Dan was talking about with the fans. I mean, the fans just have a huge push. And it's probably like not a lot of fans are voting for Markkanen. Probably
to answer your question, Zion has played 29 games this year.
Yeah, and I don't think Lowry's missed more than. I mean, I think he's played in almost all their games. He's probably missed like 5 games this year, if that.
Well, let's pull it up. He's played 49 games. He's played 20 more games, but it's a fan voting, and Zion in the games that he has played, he's put up crazy stats.
And as good as Zion is, and as good as all these people, I know I'm going to sound very biased because I like the Jazz, but Markkanen is. I don't think this is like a one and done type of all-star. I think he's actually coming into his own and has a lot more to improve. I think Danny Ainge and the Jazz see that. So we could really see a career trajectory of like, kind of like the way Julius Randle came on a couple years ago, but I think Markkanen's even better. I think he's more talented.
I've always been a big fan of Markkanen, even when he was with Chicago coming out. He's always played pretty solid. He's a very efficient scorer. Mm-hmm. My issue with him is always on the defensive side. I felt like he can be a better with his size, and he is a quicker big. He should be able to get more block shots and everything.
I think that's what he stepped up for Utah. That's what's kind of like his energy on offense is translated to the defensive side, and he's playing a lot better on that side of the ball.
I feel like his career turned around last year in Cleveland when they started playing him at the 3,
Yep,
You
I'm
know,
so glad you mentioned that.
That 3 to 4 position it feels like it fits his play style a lot better. And I think teams didn't do it. Like when he was in Chicago, they didn't do it because it was always, can he guard a 3? And you're starting to figure out he can do it well enough that on the other side of the floor, it allows your team to dominate.
Yeah, I mean, the Jazz will roll out lineups of him, Kelly Olynyk, and Walker Kessler. I mean, that's 3 guys that are 6'11" and above. And Markkanen and Kessler are like really 7-footers. So, I mean, I'm glad you pointed that out because Markkanen, to me, it sounds kind of crazy. He really is like a natural 3. The way he kind of plays, he has a very good perimeter game. He's a good ball handler. He's just big, so it looks like he's a forward or a center.
Yeah, yeah. And teams normally don't want, like, you know, he isn't a Giannis.
No.
So teams don't really want to put you at the 3, but if you're able to do it well enough that your team can win games and you can help your team, you're going to find the right coaches and the right teams that are going to allow you to do it. And it seems that's what he's been able to find the past 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, I think Will Hardy for the Jazz, but also like JB Bickerstaff in the past for the Cavs did a really good job. And I think when I saw him make the jump, you talk about him at the Cavs over the summer in the Euro League when he was playing for Finland. He always had a really good time in the Euro League. Like, I think the last time he played, he was balling, but like, I watched a lot of the Euro League the summer, and like he just looked different. He was dunking everything. He was running. I mean, he's fast. He's athletic. I mean, he was blocking everybody's shot. He was dropping 45, like, and carrying a Finland team, which I don't think Finland has ever been good at basketball.
No. So it's like when Luka goes and plays with Slovenia. Like the only reason they win games and even come close to making the final tournament is because those dudes go crazy.
Yeah, and so like I think he got that confidence from playing in Finland or playing for Finland. He was in excellent shape when he showed up at training camp, and I mean, God willing, with his health, I hope he stays healthy because I think that he's an All-NBA player this year.
Okay. Well, the big thing we wanted to talk about, the big trade that's happened before the deadline. You have a big trade of Kyrie Irving and Markieff Morris was included in this deal. So it's Kyrie Irving and Markieff Morris for
still playing basketball.
Yeah, yeah.
Jesus, that makes me feel old.
It was so Kyrie and Markieff Morris for Spencer Dinwiddie, Dorian Finney-Smith, a first-round pick, and 2 second-round picks. Now, I feel like Brooklyn could have gotten a better deal. I feel like they could have gotten a little bit more impact from that trade, but I mean, I guess, what do you guys think about that? Did Brooklyn get enough back?
I have a very unrelated question. Is Markieff's brother still playing too? Is Marcus Morris still playing?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, he's a lot better than Markieff.
Yeah, he can shoot the ball a lot better.
Well, to your question,
I just haven't heard those names for so long in the NBA world.
Marcus has been a lot better. Markieff fell off for a little bit, especially after Jokic shoved him in the back a couple years ago, which I think he deserved. So I like Jokic. But what you're talking about, if that trade, if that was fair, I was surprised to see some guys left out, maybe like a Josh Green, even Frank Ntilikina, just the guys that are salary fillers that are young that could play for the Nets and just give them a couple more prospects. And they only got 1 first-round pick, which was that's crazy considering we're talking about a guy that is an 8-time All-Star, Kyrie Irving.
And you got one of the best top 5 scorer in the NBA.
Yeah,
to get his own bucket.
I think he's the best ball handler we've ever seen. Him and Steph, and maybe like a guy like Isaiah Thomas back in the day. But it was just very surprising to see that the Nets didn't get that much back. But I think in a way they wanted to send him to a spot that like was totally random and that he didn't have. Now he is going with Luka, but the Mavs are going to struggle they're going to struggle mightily on defense. I mean, Kyrie is actually playing better defense since he's been at the Nets. Like, he's trying harder. He's doing well on rebounding and stuff like that, more than he has in his career. But just in terms of, they just lost Dorian Finney-Smith. He was like their best defensive player. So I don't know.
I think that's the biggest loss for the Mavs out of this trade is the loss of Dorian Finney-Smith, because he was that guy that he could guard 1 through 4.
Yeah.
And do it pretty well. And he was a good
really 5.
Yeah.
5.
Yeah. A good 3-and-D player too. He hit some good shots for them. So that's a hit there. But how do you think Kyrie Irving fits with Luka? Is this going to be a team that's just crazy on offense but gets bounced in the playoffs because they have no defense?
I think that when it comes to the playoffs, it will be tough because Luka is built for the playoffs. His game is exactly what you want. He's been playing for a while. We saw him, last year go to the Western Conference Finals. And then you got Kyrie, same thing. He's been there, done that. He's won a championship. I think that defensively they're going to struggle. They're probably going to make some more moves, I'm expecting. Maybe even Christian Wood might be on the move. They're going to try to get better defensively before the deadline ends. I think that the Mavs are going to go back to the Western Conference Finals. I think the Kyrie and Luka thing works because Kyrie is not – Kyrie to me is not a selfish player, and neither is Luka. I just think they've always been on teams where they are the number one option to an extent, or Luka's always been the number one option. Kyrie has always been where he's the number 1 or number 2. So I don't think necessarily I don't see their games not fitting well together. It's just going to be interesting to see who's going to have the ball in their hands towards the end of the game, and is Luka going to be more of a shooting guard now?
I don't think so. I think it's going to work very similar to the way LeBron and Kyrie worked, where when Luka needs some rest minutes, okay, Kyrie, it's your team, it's your floor, do your thing. And when Luka's on the floor, the same way as when LeBron was on the floor, LeBron's the guy. Both these guys can play off ball to an extent. They can both shoot the ball, pretty well off the catch. So I think it's going to work more the way LeBron Kyrie worked, where as it comes down to clutch time, I think it's going to be who has the better matchup. But it's going to be Luka's team. Luka's the point guard. Kyrie's going to be playing a little bit more off ball. But for those 10, 15 minutes a game where Luka is on the bench, Kyrie's you're now the number 1 option, go crazy. And it's going to allow the Mavs to, not fall off scoring wise when Luka needs a rest, the same way the Cavs didn't fall off scoring wise when LeBron needed a rest.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I agree. And I think it's definitely going to help Luka in his game because his usage has just been through the roof this season when he's basically been the only scoring option they've had. They lost Jalen Brunson in the free agency. So they haven't had a good secondary scorer. Dinwiddie could come in and do it every now and then, but other than that, they didn't really have a good second option. And so, like I said, I don't know if they win the Western Conference Finals, but I definitely think that this the finals, but I definitely think this propels them to that next level. At least makes them closer to a championship contender.
Yeah, I think so too. They're basically just taking out. Oh, sorry, my fault.
No, go ahead, bro.
I was about to just say you're just taking out Dinwiddie and you're replacing him with Kyrie. That's a huge upgrade. And yeah, you lose Finney-Smith, but they really didn't lose. Mavs didn't lose that much. They'll be able to find somebody else to replace Finney-Smith by the deadline.
I just think Spencer Dinwiddie, he's always been a streaky guy. Whenever you're talking about him, he's usually playing pretty well, but a lot of the time he just kind of hits these slumps where then he just kind of just fades into the background, and he's not he's the star who doesn't have enough grooming to be the actual guy. That's just what he's been. He's always fallen short of the expectation.
He's a 6-man. The reality is Dinwiddie's a great 6-man. You need someone to come in and get you 15 a game. He's the perfect guy to do it. But when, like he was on the Mavs this year, last year with Jalen Brunson there, Dinwiddie was the 6-man. He was able to come in and play really well in that role, which is the role he's kind of built for.
Yeah.
When he had to start and play big minutes and be that second scorer for the Mavs, he's really struggled because it's just not it's not his game.
No.
Which is why I think he worked really well a couple of years ago with Brooklyn whenever, D'Lo was that dude, and then, Dinwiddie just kind of, was there to hit those couple extra shots. They had, Joe Harris, as their other shooter. So, he wasn't the secondary scoring dude. There was a couple other options before him. And so,
Yeah.
But what this you good?
I was just gonna say, like, it's gonna be interesting to see what Dinwiddie does for the Nets and like what the Nets are gonna do on that end, because is KD gonna stay? Are they looking for options there? Are they gonna make more moves like trading Joe Harris and trading Patty Mills and maybe even a guy like Ben Simmons and trying to get try to like somehow make some magic work before the deadline to get KD a team, because KD is playing like one of the best players on the planet this year.
Yeah. I think I just don't see a way that Brooklyn is looking to trade KD by the deadline.
Mhm.
There might be a conversation at the end of the year where a trade gets made, but I think they're going to try to make some moves, maybe ship Ben Simmons. I think Joe Harris is a big one that you've mentioned that I could really see him getting moved to another contending team that really needs a shooter. Harris struggles defensively. He's not a great ball handler. So you could bring in a better role player that's going to fit with KD better, and honestly get rid of the massive contract that is Joe Harris.
Yeah, because he hasn't panned out. It's almost like the Duncan Robinson contract. Duncan Robinson, he's like the best shooter in the league that year percentage wise, and then he fell off right afterwards. And Joe Harris, the same thing. Joe Harris was a little different because he got hurt, but he just completely fell off after that.
And he had more than 1 year of success.
A contender could still use him. A contender could definitely use Joe Harris.
Yeah. No, definitely. A team like I don't think Milwaukee has the money, but a team like Milwaukee, to get that extra shooter on the floor, would be a decent fit. But again, they don't have the money for that. But so they'd have to find the right fit. I think maybe Denver could be a good fit for a guy like Joe Harris, because you got Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., and Jokic, and the way that Jokic can pass the ball, adding a shooter like Joe Harris into that mix is.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, and I would just, the teams that come to mind, it's funny you say Milwaukee. I originally thought them, but the money doesn't work. But the one team that I can see is the Cavs. The Cavs really need somebody at that 3 or 2 spot, whether off the bench or starting, that can.
Yeah, but I think we need more defense out of that spot too, though. We need a 3-and-D guy there, where like Okoro right now, or Chetty Osman. Osman's more of a scorer, but it lacks defense. Okoro's all defense, lacks the scoring. We need a guy that kind of fits that role, that can do both. So I don't think Joe Harris necessarily fits there.
I understand. I'm just thinking of 3-point shooting, something that consistent. He's not going to be a ball handler, so his usage rate is going to be low. Really spot up, whether it's off the bench and Joe Harris to me, it's probably better than Chetty Osman in terms of scoring, and then defensively, Joe Harris tries a little bit harder. So,
and we drafted Joe Harris. So
yeah, that's right, out of Virginia.
Yeah, but yeah, man, I think I really agree with your take on the Mavs are going to make a couple more moves. I don't think their lineup really makes sense where they're at for the playoffs. If they're trying to make a playoff push, the lineup is very questionable. It's a team that you get to the playoffs, Luka and Kyrie are both going to give you 30, but that doesn't matter when you're giving up 140 a game. So
it really reminds me of like the Nets squad from last year, when you just have KD and Kyrie, and then like the rest of your roster is like, just nobody. Yeah. So that's kind of how I see this Mavs team. And I think they have the ability, and Cuban is probably talking, and I'm sure they're going to try. I think the best decision for the Mavs would be to like almost change up the entire roster, get rid of Wood, get rid of Hardaway, get rid of like anybody that has a decent contract, and try to bring back defensive pieces and younger guys and people that can work. But, now they don't have to be a scoring option. It's really just about defense and versatility.
Yeah, I think, just a couple guys that come to mind that I think could really work with that squad would be either of the Bogdanoviches, Bohan or Bogdan. I think it would be good fits there. with Indiana, if you could get Miles Turner, I think that would be a great fit there because that's that extra level of defense that you get there with his shot blocking ability. You might get blown by, but you got a really good rim protector there that can change the dynamic of how that defense looks. So I think at the center position, Kleber is not my favorite center. He's a good shooter, but he's not an elite rebounder or defender. And in the end, they need to pick someone up there that's going to add way more defense to that roster.
Yeah, they need a starting center. Now, Kleber's good in those stretch situations, playing defense on, a small ball 5 or something, but they need a consistent center, like a true give him the ball down low, he can score, but also, carry the weight on the other end.
I think they need a guy similar to like what Capella did for the Rockets.
You just read someone
like that. Yeah,
I think Capella would be perfect with Luka.
Just clean, a guy that can just clean the glass and get you the couple blocks you need a game in those big situations. Which is why I said Miles Turner, because he even adds in that when you need to space the floor out, he can knock down shots.
Yeah, I know about Miles Turner. I didn't want to shit on your take, but they already said that they were not trading him.
They're not trading him? Okay.
Yeah, Rick Carlisle said when they extended him, he's not getting traded. So they've closed all the talks on Miles Turner, but you never know. Something else could open back up. And I'm sure the Mavs are in the sweepstakes for OG Anunoby, so that would be another guy to look at. That would be
but I've heard they want multiple first-round picks for him, so I don't know. I don't know how deep Dallas is willing to go to try to make a run if they're trying to sell out for the next 8 years.
Yeah, I don't know Dallas's picks, but another team with pieces that I like for the Mavs is coming from my own team. I know Utah is shopping Malik Beasley and Jared Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt would be a perfect 4 or even small ball center for them that he can actually guard 5s. And then Malik Beasley would just be a great shooting option to have around Kyrie and Luka. And he's a pretty good defender for his position.
I think another guy to also throw in there, if they could keep Christian Wood, if they could also bring in John Collins.
Okay.
I think that mixture of, because Wood can shoot the ball a little bit from the outside. You go, small ball, John Collins, Christian Wood. You try to bring in just some sort of like a 3-and-D guy that's not going to, cost you too much at the trade deadline to run that 3 spot. You bring Hardaway off the bench, or if you have to trade Hardaway, you trade him, and then you run Collins and Wood there, who can, both play that alley-oop game.
Yeah, both can shoot it, to an extent. I like that a lot for sure.
Well, before Mr. Boosie falls asleep on a second straight pod, this has been the Boys Involved podcast. If you like the pod, hit the like button, subscribe. Bow.